world and participating with us on our National Day of Service, the Success and Money Foundation, and all the wonderful things that we are doing as a group. You are making a positive impact on so many people around the world, and we're so proud of you. We're excited for you. We're excited to see all the great things that we're going to be doing in the foundation as we get rolling over the next few years. So the first thing we want to talk about today, of course, is our successful students and talk about all the wonderful things that they've done. So I've got Jake and Ethan on with me, and it looks like, gentlemen, that we've gone over almost the 10,400 mark for students, hit over 135,000 hours. So I'm going to turn the time over to Jake and Ethan to talk about our top students for the last 7 days. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, Tom. I'm going to share my screen here and we can see what all of our students did this week. Is that popping up okay?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So yeah, like you said, this week we're up to 10,393 students. So hopefully we can push and hopefully maybe even get to that 10,500 by next week if we really push it hard. So let's aim for that. Our next thing, we have 135,000 hours spent online, which is just incredible. Next thing we have is we're going to have our top enroller hours. Johnson kind of really did an amazing job this week. He had 25 people on for over 175 hours, which is incredible. We have another couple other people up there near the top. We have Jerome, who had 2 people on for 24. Genesis that had 6 on for 22 hours, as well as Mary, who had 5 people on for 19, and Frank Nell, who had 4 for 16, as well as Daryl that had 6 on for 16, as well as many other people on this list. If you see yourself on this list or see one of your friends on this list, comment at them, right in the chat, tell them congratulations, because this is impressive work. Next thing we want to go to is the active enrollment. So again, Johnson is on the top with 25 people that were online this week. AO had 18 people on this week online this week, as well as Tristan had 13 people on this week. That means most of those are new signups, so that's really incredible that you got 13 new people to come onto the site this week, as well as Cherry Ann, who had 9, and Genesis again with 6, and Daryl with 6 as well. Same with Geraldine with 6, I guess. So those 3 are all tied for 5th place. So that's incredible. Next, we want to see who's been on the site this week. Oliver. I want to do a big shout out to Oliver. It's a newer face, but they spent 46 hours on the site. That is incredible. That's over 2 days of learning. I guess just under 2 days of learning this week on the site. Going through courses, watching videos, as well as John Reyes, who did 39, and Mary Faye, who we saw on some of the other boards as well, who had 25 hours on. I also want to shout out Mari Carr and Jerome, who had 24 hours. That's a whole day of learning this week, as well as any of these other names. Again, if you see these people, congratulate them on learning. Like we always say, for every hour that people complete on the site, we're going to either donate a pair of glasses, water, or food to somebody in need. So these are all hours, and these are all meals, glasses, and water that you're giving away as you spend time in class. So thank you so much for that. And that is all I have on my end. Tom, what do you have?
Well, first thing, I just want to congratulate you for making such a difference in people's lives. You know, if you could only give someone you love one thing, you can give them money, you can give them knowledge, or you can give them experience. Well, what are you going to give them? Well, most people think, well, I'm just going to give them money. Well, the problem with just giving them money is that they don't know how to take care of it. They don't know how to drive the Ferrari. Your child reaches 16, you give them the keys to the Ferrari, and what are they going to do? They're going to wreck it. That's not what you do. We have to teach them. We have to take them through information. And more importantly, we've got to go do it with them. You know, I have a wonderful set of parents, and my dad, you know, if I wanted 10 kids, and if I ever wanted to talk to my dad, I pretty much had to go out and do one of the jobs that he was working on, pulling the weeds, whatever he was doing, to spend quality time with him, to ask him questions. And we did things together. And so as you go through these hours, though, that is so important to learn and to think and to understand how successful people do what they do. Step number one in the 5 steps is learn how to make more money. The way you do that is by studying successful people. Then you solve problems and you add more value. And if you will do that, that will turn your world. But it's more important that we start teaching those that we love. And it's not, and teaching them is great, but actually going out and doing it is the key. Now, I started an investment account when I was an early teenager. I remember making stock trades and stuff like that and invest in long-term companies and things like that. The most important thing was not the money. The most important thing is that I learned how to do it, and I pulled the trigger, and I actually went out and did it. And I had an experience about it. And a good experience or a bad experience, it doesn't matter. The key is to have an experience with it. Now, one thing that I've learned with my businesses, careers, and things like that is that, and this is what happens with people so many times, is that they have successes and they have failures. They have successes and failures, and their life is a roller coaster. And especially with social media, where everybody's displaying so much of their world, and they're only really showing their successes. There's a lot of anxiety around the world because everybody's trying to keep up, everybody's paying attention, in 3-second bites and things like that. And it's creating some real anxiety, and especially with our youth and young adults. So there's a couple things that I want you to be thinking about. Number one is that as I had big successes, and I also had failures. I've lived a full life. I'm 64, and I've been there, done that. Got the T-shirt, had the surgery, been to 50 countries. I've done a lot of things. And one thing that I did is that some of my companies in early days, I had great big success, and I was on this massive high. And then I had some failures, and a lot of those failures were not because of things I did, but things that were happening in the marketplace. You can only control the things that you can control. Now, you're going to make mistakes. That is part of the game. The faster you make a mistake, the faster you learn from it, the better you are. But if you're going to flip a coin, you're going to lose half the time. That's just the game. And the game is to play. You don't want to win every time. If you're winning every time, you're not pushing the envelope. You need to go on both sides of that. But here's a little secret that I learned is from an emotional high, instead of being way up here and way down here, one of the things that I did was I put it into a smaller channel. So I didn't get too excited about a success, and I didn't get depressed over a failure, because it's a game. Money's a game, and games are fun. Business is a game, and games are fun. Traveling is a game, and games are fun. So let's go have some fun with it. We're not curing cancer here. Somebody else is smarter than us hopefully are doing that. Your goal is to be successful and to have a better life. And your goal really is to help your children, your loved ones, to have a better life. And the only way you can do that is by you doing it. If you're on an airplane, and one of the first things they say is that if we have an emergency, there will be an oxygen mask that comes down. You put it on yourself first, then put it on your child. Why do they say that? Because you have to make sure that you can take care of yourself in turn to be able to take care of them. That's the key. So this is why all those hours are so important. Why is it so important for you to be able to share with others? Why is it so important for you to be able to teach? Well, first of all, this is your foundation. My wife and I are just the founders of it. Jake and Ethan are so helpful in making all of this work for us. But this is your foundation. And this is a legacy project by best-selling authors, educators, and entrepreneurs that want to give back. That's what we're doing. And so take this information, go through these materials, learn from it, teach it, share it. And it doesn't matter if you're very good at it. You get better with practice. You get better with practice. You get better with practice. That's the key. So thank you so much for sharing the wealth. The only way that you can really change and improve a person's life is by giving them an experience. And it's almost backwards. We need to give them good experiences about money. We need to teach them about money and success, and then they will experience it themselves. We don't just give them the keys to the Ferrari and let them go wreck the car. That just puts them in a bad place. I was one time I was with my special needs son, and we were driving these little mini go-karts. And I thought, he might be able to handle, driving this cart because I'm sitting right by him. I can grab the wheel and I can kind of turn it around. Little did I know, he put his foot on the gas and we ran right into the wall. And I put my son in a position that he wasn't ready for. And it was my fault as the mentor. And I learned from it. And I definitely learned how to do it and do it a little bit different way so I can give him good experiences. My daughter, I taught her how to drive. And we started in the parking lot, church parking lot. And we'd go up and down the parking lot and then we'd go to the side, and we'd start doing that. And we did that many, many times. And then we'd go out on the back road and stuff like that. Eventually we got a driver's license. But that's how you start. You just start. And your goal is to help your children and your loved ones have a better life and to be as self-sufficient as possible. The government isn't going to save you. They can't save themselves. The reason there's so much inflation around the world, while everything's getting more expensive because the governments around the world can't pay their bills. So what do? They just print more money. And as a result, then everything gets more expensive. If you don't own assets that keep up with the inflation, then you're going to get crushed. Step number 1 is to make more money. But step number 5 is to save and spend. And the problem is that if you're not doing step number 4, which is long-term investing and buying assets and investing in assets that keep up with inflation and actually beat inflation, when things get more expensive and inflation, because I own assets, it's called appreciation. And I appreciate it because it makes my net worth more. But if you don't have the assets, the income producing assets, then you're getting crushed. And so that's our key. That's why we talk about growing your own money trees. And you have to just get started with it. So congratulations, you're on your way. I am so grateful for all of you that are sharing the wealth. And guess what? The person who shares it gets more out of it than the recipient. Did you catch that? The beneficiary of it that you teach or to share and to give a free membership to, and then follow up with them to help them get started. They're the beneficiary of it. But guess what? You're the winner. Because when you teach this, you learn. The only way you can really get it, you can understand it in your head, but until you teach it, until you have to organize it, that is different. And when you do organize it and start teaching it, then you get more out of it than the recipient does because it makes you think new thoughts. Now, a lot of times we're not going to teach you something new that you haven't heard before. But what it's going to do, it's going to go, oh, you know what? I think I could make this little change in our world. I think we can make this other piece work. There's the 5 steps. Every day you should be getting up and you should be going through those 5 steps. How do I make more money? How do I solve bigger problems? How do I learn about successful people and what they do? How do I add more value? What systems am I using to separate my money? Are they automatic? Do they work? And every day you get up and you say, am I doing the right thing with my money? Can I be doing something else with my money or my career or my job or whatever? Step number 3 is you got to give some of it away. Our National Day of Service is coming up. September the 9th, we're going to be opening it up today to anyone that has a project that they would like a little bit of funding on, but we're also going to go to the very small level and we're going to be kicking off and Make a Difference, where you can receive a small amount of money from the foundation, but your goal is to go help someone in need with that money. Number 4, you've got to automatically invest. Automatically invest. It's just crucial. And number 5 is save and spend. And the way you become successful is you take that number 4 and you automatically do that. You put money away and you have that money work for you. You have the biggest companies in the world, the S&P 500 and Warren Buffett, take that money and let them make that money work for you while you do, and you create small businesses and make more money at those small businesses and then keep feeding that, planting those money trees and then letting them grow. That's the key. The most successful people out there figured out how to make a lot more money. The money they did make, they just didn't spend it because that just pushed it right down the toilet. They take that money and they invest in long-term assets and in income-producing assets that make them more money. I was on the stage with Robert Kiyosaki a few years ago. I got a chance to hang out with him for a couple of days, doing a PR all over Japan and talking to radio stations and stuff like that. And he just said what it is. So basically, if you're not investing in long-term assets that are income producing assets, you're just going to get crushed. the governments in the world can't pay their bills. So what do? They print more money. And that just inflates everything and it hurts you even worse. So you are making a difference in people's lives. You are the ones that are making it happen by simply sharing the wealth and then helping people. Now, sharing the wealth and giving them a free membership is awesome. And as you know, we have some wonderful things we're going to talk about in our next section, and that's awesome. But the most important thing is to encourage them to be their cheerleader. You know, Nike has the thing where they talk about, you know, who we are. Well, you know, Nike, the famous foot gear, you know, the shoes and stuff like that. They asked Phil Knight, what are you guys famous for? And he goes, you know what, who we really are is we're the guy that's out there in the rain with you, cheering you on when you're out working out in the morning when there's nobody else to cheer for you. Well, your job is to cheer for your children. Your job is to cheer for your nieces and nephews. Your job is to cheer for other people and encourage them to play the game. And it's just a game. So games are fun. So let's go have some fun with games. So thank you so much for sharing the wealth. This is how we make a difference in the world. We don't give the money to Zuckerberg and Facebook and all that other stuff. What we do is we give it to you. We put $3 million into the foundation. That money makes money. As that money makes money, we give that money away. We funded over 30,000 small financial rewards to people all over the world. That's how we make a difference. But you're the one that's driving this. So thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned. We're going to say goodbye from our friends around the world. We're going to come right back for our next segment. Thanks for watching, everybody.